Let's take a trip back to the third week in April of 1986. Love was in the air for music, with someone addicted to it, someone wondering why it can't be, someone declaring it to be the greatest of all, while Janet wants to know what you've done for her lately, and Sly Fox just wants to go all the way. On the big screen, it was all about the leading men, as Tom Cruise, Tom Hanks, Charles Bronson, Kevin Klein, and Michael Keaton all make the top 10. Plus, for some reason, the bumbling cops are on the list again. Folks watching television had a difficult choice to make at 8 p.m. on a Tuesday. Did they pick the two families under one roof in New York and then the cousins from different countries? Or was it the bad guys who were really the good guys, taking on crazy missions and just blowing stuff up? All of this, plus a football player in primetime, a nuclear reactor melts down in Russia, and Geraldo Rivera reveals nothing on live television. You're watching This Week in the 80s, so stick around. For the week ending of April 26, 1986, there was a really strange trend. A lot of these songs had the word love in the title. Some of them were just about love. We'll talk about that in just a minute. First, let's take a look at 40 to 31. There wasn't really all that much going on in the last quarter of this top 40. You know, number 40, Starship. Anytime Starship's in the conversation, I'm out. Right? Starship, that they were just so bad. I have no idea why, as 80s kids, we really even let them exist. Like, they're just terrible, archaic. They should have stayed in the 60s under Jefferson Airplane, like knee deep in the hoopla, my ass. Get off the charts. They were terrible. Jackson Browne checked in, The Honeymoon Suite, whatever that is. Another bad Julian Lennon song. I love John Lennon. I love the Beatles. Julian Lennon had that one tune, and then the rest of it, that was it. Like, he's done. Heart with These Dreams. I know there are a lot of Heart fans out there. I'm not one of them. Stevie Wonder is awesome. I love Stevie Wonder's music. This tune here, Overjoyed, at number 35. I couldn't sing it. I have no idea what it is. Number 34 on the list, guys, it's Journey. Be Good to Yourself by Journey. Be good to yourself and don't listen to that song. Journey's awful. 33, Culture Club. 32, Sade. You know, Sade's the name of the band and not that woman singing it. I found that out recently. I thought the woman's name was Sade. Anyway, 31, Rough Boys by ZZ Top. Get us out of here. 29, Stevie Nicks, I Can't Wait. These are all like, all these songs are just like songs that exist, but nobody really knows them. Like, I know that the top 10, the top 20 are the big hits, but usually when we get a little bit later in the charts, as an 80s kid, we know these songs, right? Mr. Is It Love? Like, I'm not really sure what that's all about. 27, John Cougar has so many songs. It's amazing. Like, I love John Cougar Mellencamp music, but ROCK in the USA, that song's terrible. Number 25, All I Need Is a Miracle, Mike and the Mechanics. I love Genesis. Mike on His Own, no thanks. Madonna, Live to Tell. John Taylor, the theme from 9.5 Weeks. Like, guys, what were we doing during the last week of April in 1986? It certainly wasn't listening to good music on the radio. New Shoes with I Can't Wait, and Patti LaBelle and Michael McDonald with On My Own. Like, get me out of here. All right, the top 20. There's going to be some good stuff in the top 20, right? It can't all be songs that we don't know or like. Level 42, Something About You. All right, I'm in. I like Level 42. So Far Away by Dire Straits. Dire Straits had a couple of great songs, pure 80s tunes. So Far Away is kind of slow, but it's all right. Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark. OMD with If You Leave. Now we're talking about some good 80s music. 15, Let's Go All the Way by Sly Fox. That's just, you know what? That's a fun tune. It's just fun to put on, crank up, sing along to. Hope you get caught at a stoplight, blast it, and just sing at the top of your lungs. But then number 14, American Storm by Bob Seger. I know a lot of Bob Seger songs. I know a lot of the words to a lot of Bob Seger songs. No idea what American Storm is. Not for me. Number 13, Bad Boy. Bad Boy. Come on, who sings it? You know. You don't know. Miami Sound Machine. Gloria Estefan. No idea. So at number 11, how about INXS with What You Need? This was the album before Kick. Now we get to the top 10. Now it gets serious. Phil Collins, Take Me Home. Tremendous song. It's about 9 minutes long, but it's a great song. Number 8, What Have You Done For Me Lately? Janet Jackson. Number 7, Rock Me Amadeus. Falco. I love the tune Rock Me Amadeus. I could listen to it 100 times in a row and sing it 100 times in a row, and the only people that would be unhappy would be anyone who's around me. That's a great tune. Number 6, The Harlem Shuffle by the Rolling Stones. By this point in time, the Rolling Stones really had just played it out. Like, they were kind of over in the mid 70s. Here we are in the second half of the 80s, and the Harlem Shuffle is just like, listen, that's just not a good song. The video was fun, right? But the song itself, no. And at number 4, Manic Monday by the Bangles. On number 3, The West End Girls by the Pet Shop Boys. As I had mentioned, there's this strange thing that's going on in these charts, and it's weird, man. It's just all about songs that are like titled love. And I don't know why it's like this, but for some reason, it just kept happening. So let's just take a look at how it broke down. You know, number 30 on the charts this week, Secret Lovers by Atlantic Starr. Number 28, Is It Love by Mr. Mister. Number 26, Saturday Love. Sherelle with Alexander O'Neal. What the hell is that? I have no idea who Sherelle is, and whether or not she had Alexander O'Neal doesn't change the fact that I don't know that song. Number 17, Tender Love by the Force MDs. Number 16, I Think It's Love by Jermaine Jackson. Number 15, Let's Go All the Way by Sly Fox. I just threw that in there because it's not really about love. That's just a joke. Everyone settle down. Number 12, Greatest Love of All, Whitney Houston. Number 9, Your Love, Outfield. Number 5, Why Can't This Be Love, Van Halen. Number 2, Addicted to Love, Robert Palmer. Like, what is the deal? 10 songs, 10 of the top 30, if you include Sly Fox, are about named or about love. Like, that's crazy. All those songs about love, most of them weren't even very good. You had to go back to the really end of the charts just to find some fantastic 80s music. How about at number 99, Sanctify Yourself by Simple Minds? That's a fantastic tune. I absolutely love it. Once in a Lifetime by the Talking Heads. That's at 92. Like, why were we listening to Jermaine Jackson when the Talking Heads were on the list? That's not even reasonable. At number 68, we had Shot in the Dark by Ozzy Osbourne. 66, King for a Day, the Thompson Twins. Rain on the Scarecrow, John Mellencamp was at 64. Psychedelic Furs, Pretty in Pink, 63. Come on, this is the good stuff. Even Holding Back the Years by Simply Red is better than half the stuff in the top 20. At 62 was Sarah by Starship. We don't want to talk about that. My favorite song on this entire list is probably number 52 by the Hooters. Where Did the Children Go? Overall, it was kind of a down week for fantastic 80s tunes. There were some good ones. You really can't go wrong with putting Prince at number 1 or Robert Palmer at number 2 with the Pet Shop Boys at number 3, but most of it's pretty underwhelming. Not exactly what we were hoping for this week in the 80s in 1986. If you're enjoying this trip back to the 80s, don't forget to click the subscribe button down below. For this week in the 80s, we're going to take a look at April 22nd, 1986. It was a Tuesday night. There were some fun shows on, some exciting shows on, and some pure, flat garbage as well. It's pretty much typical for what was going on at the time. At the 8 o'clock slot, it was pretty simple. Which one not to watch? ABC and NBC were absolutely at war for viewers, while CBS just mailed it in. Interesting thing about CBS. So they had some show on called Morning Star, Evening Star. It was about some orphanage, blah, blah, blah. Listen, it only lasted 7 episodes and nobody cared. But it did have a little kid starring the show, and that little kid's name is Fred Savage. Now, this is 1986. This is 2 years before the Wonder Years. So good thing for us that Morning Star, Evening Star was a complete and total bust, because if not, we might not have had the same Kevin Arnold that we all knew and loved. So thanks, Morning Star, Evening Star, for sucking so bad. ABC and NBC were having an absolute war for your viewership. Did you want stuff blowing up, or did you want the family comedies and fun? If you're looking for the family comedies and fun, you're on ABC. You're on Who's the Boss? That is Tony Danza and Alyssa Milano just having an absolute fun time. Tony's the housekeeper, and there's just hijinks going on. And that's cool. Like, that was a fun show. That was followed up by Perfect Strangers. Perfect Strangers was one of my favorite shows as a kid. Balky Bartokomous was hysterical. Don't be ridiculous. I say that now around the house and get yelled at because I say it too much and somebody doesn't think it's very funny. I think it's funny every time, though. Somebody's probably right and I'm probably wrong. But Perfect Strangers, 8:30, ABC, awesome. Who's the Boss? Perfect Strangers. Perfect lineup for a kid of, let's see, I was 13. So that was great. Unless you're looking for stuff blowing up. Then you're looking at NBC for the A-Team. Hannibal, B.A. Baracus, The Face Man, Murdoch. What an awesome show. The A-Team van is as iconic as Michael Knight's Trans Am. It was just a fantastic show. They're bad guys, but they're good guys. They get into trouble. They get out of trouble. The army's chasing them, but they shouldn't be chasing them. They shouldn't have left. There's all the whole backstory. Listen, I was 13. The 9 o'clock slot was split almost evenly across all of the 3 channels. ABC gave us Moonlighting. Moonlighting had been on for a while. It's a fun show. You know, you've got Bruce Willis and Sybil Shepherd. Good show. On CBS, a little bit of a slip back, but at least better than Morning Star, Evening Star. It was Mickey Spillane's Mike Hammer. Mike Hammer was a fine show. It was just something going on. On NBC, Hunter. It was a great show. It was super fun to watch, and it went on for 150 plus episodes, which is pretty good considering the competition that they had. At 10 o'clock, ABC kept on with more cop stuff. The Boston Boy, Spencer for Hire. On CBS, we had The Equalizer, and NBC, they went with a news show, something called NBC's White Paper. I mean, who's going to watch a news show when you've got to choose between Spencer and The Equalizer? So for me, at this time, it would have been The A-Team, Hunter, and then I'm off to bed because I'm 13 years old. At the box office, it was all about the leading men. Well, mostly anyway. At number 10, we had The Color Purple. Remember, that was Whoopi Goldberg. At number 9, we had Pretty in Pink. Let me tell you something about Pretty in Pink. Well, honestly, I can't. I didn't see it. I've never wanted to see it. I've never had any interest in seeing it. It's really strange, too, because this is something that I absolutely should want to see. I'm an 80s kid. It's got Molly Ringwald, John Cryer, Andrew McCarthy, James Spader, Annie Potts, Harry, Dean Stanton, and I just don't want to see it. I've told a bunch of jokes about Ducky, and I've posted a bunch of memes about it too, but I just have never seen Pretty in Pink, and I'm planning on leaving it at that. Now, at number 8, we had Wise Guys, which is kind of a goofball, screwball comedy with Joe Piscopo and Danny DeVito. It tells you all you need to know about that movie. Number 7 was Critters. This was basically a Gremlins ripoff, unless you believe the writers of it who say it wasn't a Gremlins ripoff, but in my opinion, it was absolutely a Gremlins ripoff. Number 6, Gung Ho. If you haven't seen Gung Ho, when you're done watching this, go find Gung Ho and watch it. It's spectacular. It's one of Michael Keaton's best. Michael Keaton kicks all the ass in the world. Gung Ho at number 6. Number 5, Violets Are Blue. Didn't see Violets Are Blue? Lucky you. I haven't seen it either, but I read the synopsis, and it sounds just so typical and boring. Listen, it's Kevin Klein and Sissy Spacek, so those are some big names, right? Here's the premise. Guy and girl fall in love. Girl leaves. Guy falls in love with someone else. Marries her. Other girl comes back and screws things up. Roll the credits. Terrible. Number 4, guys. Police Academy 3, Back in Training. You know, the one where Sweet Chuck becomes a cop and Bobcat Goldthwait, the gang leader, also becomes a cop. How is this at number 4? Right? Like, this movie made like $107 million. The Police Academy movies, the first one was awesome. The second one was a step back. The third one, it seems like every time I do one of these videos, Police Academy's in the top 10. Like, can we all go back in time and stop watching anything after the first one? They're awful. That's okay. Number 3, Charles Bronson, Murphy's Law. Here's the plot for this one. Guy exists. Guy gets wrong. Guy kills everybody. Roll the credits. At number 2 this week, we had The Money Pit. The Money Pit is still relevant today, now that we're actually homeowners, right? Back then we thought it was funny, but now we're buying our own houses and thinking, is this the Money Pit? I've bought a couple of houses over the past 20 years, and there hasn't been one that I haven't walked into and thought to myself, is this the Money Pit? This is the one where Shelley Long really tried to break out into Hollywood. And unfortunately for Shelley Long, we didn't buy it. She was Diane from Cheers. No matter what role she was in, she was Diane from Cheers. This movie specifically starred Tom Hanks and Diane from Cheers. At least it wasn't Troop Beverly Hills. Number 1 on the list for the second week running, Legend. Legend is a weird movie. The funny thing about Legend, it was awful. Any movie that includes both Tom Cruise and unicorns is problematic. There are rainbows. There are magic swamps. And there's Tom Cruise. How did this ever happen? I mean, it's Ridley Scott. That's supposed to be pretty good. Ridley Scott's pretty good at his job. Tom Cruise is pretty good at his job. Ridley Scott, Tom Cruise, magic swamps and unicorns? Nope, not going to happen. But it did. That was number 1 for the week. If you want to kick yourself out of the top 10, look at number 14, 3 Men and a Cradle. Nope, didn't pronounce that wrong. It really was Three Men in a Cradle. It was the French version of Three Men and a Baby. Probably explains why people went to see Legend. In 1986, late April, there were two big news stories. One of them, of course, was Chernobyl, right? Chernobyl was just a horrific accident. Reactors 1, 2, and 3 are still being decommissioned, and reactor 4 will be taken down, and that area will be inhabitable in 20,000 years. That's how bad it was. 20,000 years from now, listen, if you buy some real estate there now, in 20,000 years, it's probably going to be worth a little bit more, and you can sell it and make a profit. There's some animals that are running around there now. There's plenty of trees and wildlife, but for humans, no luck. The Russians covered it up too. Like the first few days, they barely even told their own people that it was happening. Now, there's a huge fire at the nuclear reactor down the street. The sky is black and your body's decomposing, and the Russians are like, go take a quick shower and come back. We'll tell you what's going on. It'll go down as probably the worst nuclear accident in history. Hopefully it's the worst. Hopefully another one doesn't come around that's worse than that, because Chernobyl was bad news. The other bad thing that happened in late April of 1986 was bad when it happened, but now when you look back, it's just a source of comedy. And that was Al Capone's vaults. Geraldo Rivera was going to open Al Capone's vaults under the city of Chicago. We don't know what he's going to find down there. These haven't been open since Capone. It's the 20s and 30s or whenever Capone was around. And who knows what he's going to find? Are there going to be bodies? Is it going to be a big gun stash? Is it going to be gold? Is it going to be all of those things? You know what it was? Nothing. He found nothing. This was a huge deal. Did you watch it? Do you remember the lead up to it? It was every other commercial break for weeks, possibly months, was Al Capone's vaults. I watched this with my brother and my grandparents. I remember sitting on the floor watching the television and just seeing poor Geraldo knock down wall after wall, and there's nothing. We're going to knock this down. He's got his helmet on. He's like half covered in dirt. The theatrics were tremendous. And you know what he found? Dirt. Knocked down another wall. You know what's behind it? More dirt. It just kept going. No matter what they did, there was nothing down there. They made a big deal out of it, but they found goose egg. That's going to do it for me from the last week in April of 1986. Don't forget to subscribe so you can stay on top of everything that comes out on this channel, including new playlists and new videos as well. I'll catch you next time on This Week in the 80s.